Welcome to Mental Health Dumpster Fire. My name is Courtney Laver, licensed clinical social worker.
And I'm Jess Miller, art therapist.
We are therapists and we have opinions, and we're here to tell you what those opinions are. You can follow us online. We have our own social media, Mental Health Dumpster Fire, on Instagram and TikTok. I am on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Laver Listens.
And I am on Instagram and Facebook as The Artsy Brain. Not on TikTok yet.
And this podcast is for entertainment and education purposes only. It is not a replacement for therapy, and we cannot give you specific advice or clinical services via this podcast or our social media. And one day I'll record this so that we don't have to say it every single time.
Yeah, we'll make it more fun.
We'll do a little intro.
Do a little intro. Maybe a little animation of something.
Yeah.
I'll figure
if
it out.
anybody else has any better ideas other than we're therapists with opinions. I like that part. It's the part afterwards that I can never think of what to say. Like, we're therapists, we have opinions, we're going to tell you the opinions.
The end.
It's not very catchy.
End of the show.
It's not very catchy.
Yeah, if someone could come up with a tagline or something for us that kind of summarizes the show, that would be helpful. Because right now it's just how you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is how we start. But with that little intro thing, yeah, it'd be nice to have something snappy and fun.
Yeah. Get on it, fans.
Yeah.
Help us. All right. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. I had 3 days of a virtual training last week. 3 in a row days. So that was tiring. Exhausting. But I spent all day yesterday in a little cocoon at home recuperating.
Cool.
Yeah. So that was nice.
What was your training about?
The training was neurodiversity affirming clinicians training. So becoming a neurodiversity affirming clinician.
Cool.
And it had all kinds of stuff about ethics and diagnosis and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was a good training.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I am ready for fall.
Yeah.
Summer's too slow for me. I need some fall.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not as busy with work, but I don't want to go outside because it's hot.
Yeah.
So then it does feel... Summer break as an adult is not the same as when you're a kid.
Yeah, and I don't have kids, so it's not like I get to experience any joy through them.
Or you're just not busy taking them to camps and stuff like that.
Right.
Either.
Yeah. My life doesn't change in the summer. So
it's just hot
I'm
and
just
less busy.
ready for fall.
Yeah.
I want some sweaters.
Fall is my favorite time of the year.
Me too.
I love the fall.
Yep. So I'm pretending it's fall. I'm wearing a sweatshirt and I'm drinking some tea.
Well, at my house, July 5th is the start of spooky season.
Oh, perfect.
So spooky season is from July 5th to the day after Thanksgiving.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you're super psyched about?
I have some Reddit stories, but there was a new piece of legislation that started in July that has to do with child influencers.
Ooh.
Child influencers and family influencers. And so I kind of went down a little research hole with that. So I thought that might be an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's not I love doing the Reddit stories, but we got to mix it up every now and then.
No,
so.
I think that sounds... I haven't heard of that, so I'd like to hear what that is.
I just saw it this morning.
Okay.
The article about it. But
Yeah. Let's do that.
Cool. So there has been... In Illinois, they passed a bill. Officially, it was passed in August of last year. But they passed a bill that has to do with child influencers and family influencers and who gets to make money and who doesn't off of that.
Okay.
And so the bill was passed as a way to get some monetary compensation to the kids who are part of these family influencer videos and social media things, because they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the kids don't have, before this bill, the kids didn't have any legal right to that money.
Right.
So this bill is hopefully it's one of the first bills in this country that addresses this, so that's pretty cool. But it's hoping to change how that works. So I just have a couple articles that I found about it. So this is from the Rolling Stone, which I know is a like music magazine or whatever, but they do a lot of stuff, a lot of different articles. So this, Rolling Stone article from July 5th by E.J. Dixon called "How a New Law Could Change the World of Child Influencers." A revolutionary new piece of state legislation protecting child influencers is now in effect in Illinois, ensuring that children under the age of 16 will be compensated for appearing in their parents' social media content. On July 1st, the state of Illinois officially enacted an amendment to its existing child labor law, which specifically states that children under the age of 16 are entitled to a share of the revenue from their adult guardians' vlogging content. Defined in the bill as content shared on an online platform in exchange for compensation. According to the law, if a child appears in at least 30% of a caregiver or parent's social media content over the course of 30 days, the minor is then entitled to monetary compensation. Adults are required to set aside those funds to put in a trust, which the minor can access when they turn 18. This law allows child influencers to take action against parents who failed to properly compensate them for their work, according to a statement from the office of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, who signed the bill in August of 2023. I'm not going to read the whole article, just like kind of what it's about. The bill was inspired by a 16-year-old, and I apologize for mispronouncing your name, Shreya Nalamathu, who became concerned about the impact that family vlogs were having on minors. Nalamathu brought the idea for the bill to State Senator David Kohler, who helped usher in its passage.
How old did it say she was 16?
She's 16, this gal that, she did a bunch of research. And I have another article about her, too.
That's amazing.
But she did all this research and was like, we need to do something about this, and got a state senator of Illinois involved. This legislation is a watershed moment for the massive family vlogging industry in which parenting influencers monetize social media content featuring their children. The industry has sparked backlash from critics who argue that children are not old enough to provide meaningful consent to appear on social media, and that parents who profit off of their images are effectively exploiting them. I would say they are exploiting them. Mm-hmm. Many family vlogging channels are extremely lucrative, pulling in hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it looks like it's mostly off of ad revenue, but then also like things like Patreon and that kind of thing. Currently, there are laws in effect to protect children in mainstream entertainment industry, such as the Coogan Law, named after child actor Jackie Coogan. And that requires parents of minors who are performing to have some kind of like compensation. Laws have not kept pace with technological advances and the rise of the massive child influencer industry. Just the fact that there's a child influencer industry means that children are being exploited.
Right.
Illinois is the first state in the country to enact such a law. There are other states, such as Maryland, California, and Wisconsin, who are considering passing similar legislation. Maryland has introduced a right to be forgotten bill for minors who wish for their content to be removed from the internet. It looks like that's still in the works right now, but kind of that's almost like an after the fact kind of a thing, but potentially in Maryland, minors who don't want their content to be on the internet for family vlogging stuff, they can have it removed. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, my initial question when you mentioned like the title of the article was like, how are they going to say what they need to be compensated for? Because I know that the parents are going to argue like, well, I'm the one who manages the account and edits it and does all the work. Like with the Coogan Law, it's easy to say like, no, the child did the work. They're the ones that are on screen acting.
Right.
But I like the way that they described it as like, if they're in 30% or more of the content, then they deserve that much compensation, because then they can't argue like, well, I did it, and like I know like TikTok technically you're supposed to be like 13 or older, or I don't remember the exact.
Yeah.
But then kid influencers, they'll just put in the bio like, this account is owned by mom. It's like, okay, well,
mom's never there.
Mom's not in it, so.
Yeah. And I think like this bill is more of like a protection against like family vlogging and like family parenting influencers than it is like child influencers. I don't know how. I mean, I guess technically, like you're saying, the child would have to say, mom runs my account. And then if all of the videos are of the kid, then I guess the kid would get all that money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, have you heard of that, what's his name? Ryan's Toy Reviews?
No.
He was huge, like years ago. He started doing, like, his parents started filming these little toy reviews where they would buy him the new toys and then he would review them. So he would be the one that was on camera. And he made millions, and he has his own brand now. Like, he has toys that are being sold in, like, Target, like, major.
Wow.
He's a major brand.
That's cool.
And they're, like, I think they, like, made, like, a cartoon about him at one point or something.
Gosh.
Like, he's a whole thing now.
Wow.
But there were people who were wondering because, of course, like, when you make millions of dollars, then the parents, like, bought a new house and, like, moved to LA or whatever. Like, I didn't follow it super closely, but I know that he made millions. Mm-hmm. And then as a brand, he's going to make even more. So that's a good law to have in place to make sure that even if it was his parents' idea, he's the face of it. And so he deserves to be compensated.
Right.
And that's like a lot of time, I'm sure, went into producing those videos. So how much of his time outside of school, if he was even going to school regularly,
I would imagine he'd
working.
be homeschooled. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and I think with the bill having, so it's if the kid is present in 30% of the content made over the course of 30 days, so like over a month, then they're compensated to, I guess it would be 30% of the earnings from that month.
Yeah, or whatever percentage.
However they work that out. And I'm just thinking of like all of the parenting influencers that are on TikTok and stuff, and their kids are definitely in there more than 30% of the time. So even though like 30% kind of sounds like a low number, like the kids for the most part are in there, I would say like 50% or more of the time.
Yeah.
For the content.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm hoping that maybe this will curb some of those parenting influencers to like not have their kid in the videos as much.
Right. I hope that they will take the selfish route and say, oh, well, if I have to give my kid money, I'm going to make sure that they're not in the content as much.
Right.
And that will ultimately benefit the kid because I love the idea of that removal law, but once it's on the internet, like, you can't guarantee that you're going to get it all.
No. And yeah, like the removing of content after the fact is hard to do, and it doesn't really address the issue, which is parents basically, or they are taking advantage of their children and exploiting them for money on the internet. Yeah. So very interesting.
I need to add really quick.
Yeah.
Copy this, cut this, paste it at the beginning.
Okay.
Trigger warning.
Oh, yeah.
Trigger warning for child abuse and exploitation. Skip like 5-10 minutes.
This is mostly a reminder for us, honestly, to put in the trigger content warning in the beginning.
This before. Okay, go.
Okay. And then there's like an NPR article that came out when the bill was first introduced, and so they kind of broke it down. The pictures are funny that they use for these.
Yeah.
Like it's basically a stock photo image of a kid and a female adult with like a ring light camera set up in front of them. From August 23rd, 2023 by Manuela Lopez Restrepo. Again, sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. Okay. Kind of breaking down what the bill means. So what are child influencers? Or who are they? Child influencers are kids you might see featured on any type of social media content that makes a profit. So this includes videos of children on family YouTube channels, TikToks, Instagram. Sometimes the kids, like you were saying, like Ryan Rates Toys is like the star of the main character of the channel or whatever. But it also includes family channels that the kids pop up in. This comes as conversation grows online about whether children can actually consent to photo or videos being posted, and how parents oversharing photos and videos, sharenting is what they call it, might violate child privacy.
Yeah, that's another big thing, and I see way too many articles and videos of people calling out parent influencers for exploiting their kids, especially like babies and toddlers. And like, if you're gonna make a ton of videos of your kid for yourself, for your own private album, so that you can have those memories, cool. If you're gonna have a private Instagram account so that you can share it with your friends and family, cool. But you have to know when you're posting it on a public platform and then it blows up, like, you have to be aware that there are going to be people that you don't want looking at your kid. Yeah. Especially because they leave the ability to save the videos on. Like, you can change that in the settings, but they don't do it because they know that creepy people are going to look at it and want to save it.
Yeah.
That's disgusting, and that's abuse, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that knowingly doing that is abuse.
Yeah.
That is exploiting children and is abuse.
Yeah. Because I've seen videos of people calling out, like, a certain mom on TikTok who, like, purposefully gives her 2-year-old, like, a hot dog to eat.
I know what you're talking about 100%. It's like...
And then people...
So obvious.
Yeah, and then people called her out and they were like, do you realize, like, it says on here 2,000 saves. Who's saving this video? And, like, men are commenting on, like, it's not, not necessarily men, but, like...
Mostly is.
The assumption, the stereotype, okay? And then she made a response that was like, well, I called the police and they said they couldn't find her pictures anywhere, so I'm going to keep posting it. Okay. Who cares if they couldn't find it? Doesn't mean they're not out there. Doesn't mean they're on just some guy's folder on his computer. Doesn't mean that they won't be out there in the future. Why would you risk that?
My gosh.
For attention and money. That's why.
Yeah.
At your child's expense.
It's just disgusting. It's just disgusting when they're, And there are, like, parenting or, like, family parenting type accounts out there that don't do that and are very aware of, like, my kid's face is never going to pop up in these videos. They're doing it right.
Right.
So it's like people have the capacity to do it in a way that is safe for their kid and they're not exploiting their kid.
Yeah.
And they're purposefully choosing to not do that to make money.
Right. I've seen plenty of parent influencers who just tell cute stories about their kids, or they act it out and they're the kid in the video.
Yeah, those are really funny, actually. When the parent
so
acts
you
out
can
what the kids
still
do.
share all your cute parenting moments and the funny stuff that your kids do without your kids being on camera.
Right. The NPR article mentions that there's some similar legislation going on in France that aims to protect children influencers to get a fair percentage of their earnings. There's a lot of, like, in French kind of culture, the, like, nannies are a big part of the family and are in the home. And I remember seeing something about, like, a nanny noticing parents, like, exploiting children for money by doing these, like, family vlog things or whatever. So I remember that. I remember people talking about that. So what's the big deal? Lawmakers in Illinois have taken notice and passed this legislation, first time in the country. Make sure children are being featured in any online content will be guaranteed chunk of their profits. So this teenager who did all the research and got this bill going, did this as a school project.
Oh, wow.
16-year-old. She did it as a school project. Shreya Nelamathu. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Yeah, she was doing a school project about the lack of protection for influencers and children influencers. And I think the article talks about it, but how a lot of kids see children influencers online, and so then that's like a career that they want to do, right? They're like, I want to do that, which is a whole other icky sticky issue.
Yeah.
But so she was doing research on it, like, what are the protections in place? Like, what's the legalities around this? And basically found there was nothing. And so that's why this bill got started. Okay, and then they have this trust that accrues the money over time and that goes directly to the kid when they turn 18. So it's never in the hands of the parent. Influencing has become a top career choice among children and can be hugely financially lucrative, with some of the top YouTubers and TikTokers ranking in millions, getting brand deals, sponsored posts, ads, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I got a link to a Teen Vogue article. Love Teen Vogue. So this is an article written before all of this legislation and stuff was even happening. So March of 2023, by Fortija Latifi. Influencer parents and their kids who had their childhood made into content. So she kind of talks to and interviewed different child influencers or kids who were part of the family influencer vlogging, and talked to them about their experience and what they thought of it, and kind of overwhelming of no, don't do that, basically, from these kids. So she talks to someone named Claire about their experience. There's a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers, hundreds of videos featuring Claire and members of her family. In the videos, Claire grows up from a toddler to a teenager, so across her lifespan. On Instagram, fans have commented that they miss videos of the old days from when she was younger. It's like, why would you say that?
And yeah,
Creepy.
what do you want me to do about that?
Yeah. People grow up.
She's a human.
She's just growing
She's
up.
not a character.
In public, people sometimes recognize her and ask for photos. Family's YouTube channel has over 1 billion views, but if it were up to Claire, none of the videos would exist. For Gen Z, social media has always been a given. Many consider it the first social networking site launched in 1997. The same year marks the beginning of Gen Z. Which I think is fair. A kid can't consent to being online, but you are forcing them to begin having a digital footprint as a toddler.
Right.
It's wild. For some young people, their parents just share more than evidence of a school spelling bee or smiling on the first day of college. Instead, it's intimate details of their lives, videos of them crying, footage of parents disciplining them, and using it for monetization.
Yeah, some of them do like prank videos and then put pictures of them pranking their kids on video. Like,
I hate those.
they don't want their friends to see that.
No,
Or
that's
anybody.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the pranks are harmless and silly, and everyone in the family, it's just their thing, and they have good humor about it. But some of them, it's like makes the kid very upset, and it's very obvious, and it's like, why would you post that?
Yeah. And again, even if it is like harmless fun and the kid thinks it's funny, like it can just be funny for you guys. It doesn't have to be shared with the whole world.
Yeah. It's weird. Claire, whose name has been changed to protect her privacy, has never known a life that does not include a camera being pointed at her. First time she went viral, she was a toddler. Family's YouTube channel started to rake in views. Claire's parents both left their jobs because the YouTube channel was making enough to support the family. They got a new house and a new car. Claire says, that's not fair that I have to support everyone. I try not to be resentful, but I kind of am. One time she told her dad she didn't want to do YouTube videos anymore, and he told her they'd have to move out of their house and their parents would have to go back to work because they wouldn't have money for nice things anymore.
Yeah, so they guilted her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They manipulated her. When the family is together, the YouTube channel is what they talk about. Claire says her father has told her he might be her father, but he's also her boss. It's like that momager stuff. Dadager, momager. It's a lot of pressure, she says. Yeah.
I can imagine.
So when Claire turns 18 and can actually move out on her own, she's considering going no contact with her parents. Once she doesn't live with them anymore, she plans to speak out publicly about being the star of a YouTube channel. She'll even use her real name. Claire wants people to know how her childhood has overshadowed by social media stardom that she did not choose. Yeah. Then it talks about the Coogan law, which is in California only. 15% of minors' earnings must be set aside by the employer in a block trust. So I imagine that Shreya, the 16-year-old that did all the research, modeled the bill after that. I think that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
15% is a pretty good jump.
Yeah. I wonder how they will enforce that. Like who's in charge of keeping track of how much the kids are in the content and making sure that that amount goes into the trust. I don't know how they do that with the Coogan law, but at least they're getting paid through a third party.
Yeah.
That like could maybe divvy that up. Mm-hmm. Whereas this would be more like on the parents to make sure that if the kid's in it, the correct amount is being separated out.
Yeah, because with the Coogan law, it's about like child actors.
Right.
So with that, like the family signs like consent paperwork and the kid has like a contract. So then that means that the person hiring the kid to act is like putting up the 15% up like separate for the kiddo and then the rest to the family or however it works if they decide to put it into something else. But with this new law in Illinois, I don't know how you can regulate that because it's social media and like YouTube, you get to a certain amount of subscribers or whatever and you get the brand, however that works. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do I look like
make us popular and then we'll figure it out?
Yeah. If we get to that point, then I'll know. But yeah, like I don't feel like there's anything set up like that. Like there's no contract that you sign to have your kiddo be like on social media.
Specific brand deal, but that's different than revenue from engagement.
Right. And what's happening is that a lot of these family vlogger influencers are getting ad revenue, but they're getting attention through having their kids in the videos.
Yeah.
So they're getting the like digital foot traffic, having their kids in videos, and then the ads are paying them.
Ooh, so then I wonder if they're going to try to manipulate that to be like, well, if we get a brand deal, I'll be the only, like the adults will be the only ones doing the brand deal. So then they're going to argue like, well, they didn't get paid for that because they weren't in it, so they don't deserve that money.
Yeah. But the brand is offering ad deals to their channel because they know they get a lot of digital foot traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
Digital attention.
I don't know. I mean, at the very least, I feel like it'll give kids the opportunity to like sue for what they're owed when they're adults, and then they'll have to go back and retroactively figure out the percentage of time that they were featured.
Yeah, I did read something about that where this new law in Illinois that they can do that.
Yeah.
They can they can sue their family for compensation from the past.
Right. I just don't know how they're
18.
going to measure like ongoing putting the money into the trust. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but I wouldn't really understand that anyway, I don't think.
Yeah,
so.
I'm not like a numbers person or really a technology person. Yeah, so I don't know the logistics, like exactly how that would work. I'm really happy that this exists now.
No, I think it should have come around a lot earlier.
Yes. Oh, 100%. It's really upsetting it's taken this long, actually. And I'm glad that there's other states that are taking it up too, that are trying to do something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish more, because one of the states was like Wisconsin, and I was like, what is Wisconsin doing?
Well,
like,
that's the thing
good for them,
with social media. Like, it doesn't. You don't have to live in LA to be an influencer.
That's true. They could be anywhere. Yeah. Ugh. A lot of the mom influencers I see are in like Nebraska and Utah. I've seen a lot of Utah ones. Utah is a big one. But yeah, it needs to be a national thing, not state by state.
Yeah.
But it has to start somewhere.
Right. I'm glad it's starting. Better late than never.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's the problem with having like really old legislators is that they're like, I don't know anything about that, so I don't really care.
I don't know how to use a smartphone.
Yeah.
You probably should not be a politician anymore. You should leave.
Yeah. But also really good on that 16-year-old for bringing that to her legislators' attention.
Yes. I love that it was a teenager who was like, hey, this is fucked up. She probably didn't say that, but
she might have.
Well, she might have. She has every right to. But yeah, this is fucked up and not okay, and we need to do something about it. And then she got people involved, and she got it done. That's so cool.
No, that's awesome.
I hope she got an A on that project, and I hope she passed that class with flying colors.
I hope she gets into whatever college she wants to go to.
She honestly should. She should be able to go to Yale if she wants to, or if she doesn't go to college, she should just do whatever she wants. I want all the success in the world for her, but let her go to Yale. If she applies Yale, let her in.
Yeah, we have the power.
We have so much power, us sitting here on a couch in our pajamas, basically, talking about stuff.
We have pull at Yale. Neither of us went there.
I didn't even apply.
No. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think that's really important. And, yeah, if people find something that they're super passionate about and feels like needs to be changed, like, we do have some authority, like, especially at the, like, city level and state level. Like, those politicians are much more accessible. Like, we can change things. Like, she's not even old enough to vote, and she was able to convince people that they needed to do something about this problem. So
yeah, and I think I'm pretty sure at 16 you can like organize and host like a town hall. So you can do stuff like that as a teenager. Cool. If you're not able to like get a politician on board with you, you can host or like organize and host town hall meetings, which are official and like documented. They document them, and like news outlets will come and stuff and listen to you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but we as adults should be doing that more often too. We can sit and we can complain and we can say like they should be doing this, but we could also go out and tell them to their faces like you should be doing this.
Yes. Yeah.
I saw this on Reddit. It's on the r/teenagers subreddit. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to be on here. It's not my community, but it was really interesting to hear these kids' responses. So somebody posted, what's the most embarrassing thing you can't do at your age? And then they put under here, I can't tell analog clock time or cook anything.
Okay. I can't either. I'm 31 and I have a hard time reading a clock, so
yeah,
that's why I have to wear a Fitbit watch.
And they said that they're 16. So some other things kids couldn't do, they said, I'm bad at remembering directions.
Same.
Which is fair because we just use our phones to get everywhere now. And they tell us when to turn and how to do things. And honestly, even if I know where I'm going, I'll still put my maps on because that tells me if there's traffic and I won't know an alternate route.
Yeah, I do
there's
that
traffic.
too. Especially around here, because since we're living in the city, the construction is ridiculous right now.
Okay, this person said they're 15, they can't ride a bike. That's okay.
I don't think I've sat on a bike since I was 15, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
if cities were more bike accessible, then I would say, yeah, you should ride a bike. But, like, I would be terrified to ride a bike.
No, it's so scary to try and ride a bike.
Yeah.
Ugh.
This person said they're bad at math. Fair.
Same.
This person said they're 16 and still afraid of getting vaccinated because it hurts. Been there.
Oh, okay. Like the shots hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Being afraid of pain that you know is going to happen is totally normal.
I think being afraid of something sharp going in your arm is
Yeah.
is okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I still do it because I know I need to get it done and it'll help me be healthy, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
Yeah.
This person said they can't read maps. I wouldn't expect a teenager
read
these
a
days
map.
to be able to read a map.
No.
You don't have to.
It's not really like a life skill that they need anymore. Mm-hmm. Unless we completely lose all internet for a long period of time, they'll be fine. They don't need to learn how to read a map.
Yeah. The way this person worded their response, I just thought was funny. They said, "I've tried to learn to whistle and I just can't. It's driving me nuts."
That's also a life skill you don't really need.
It's not, but I understand the frustration of just like trying so hard
Yeah.
and not being able to do it. I don't know if
Oh.
whistling is like I know it's something that people learn how to do, but I wonder if it's something that like some people just like genetically can't do.
Yeah, I know some people like it's something to do with the tongue, like a tongue tie maybe. When you're a baby, if you have a tongue tie and like something about the embouchure of your mouth, then you can't whistle.
Yeah.
But that's funny. I remember as a kid, like, spending a solid day learning how to whistle. I, like, made it happen.
Oh, wow.
Love the fact that I had a whole day to spend on trying to learn how to whistle, but I remember that.
This person said every time I try to unlock a door with a key, it takes me like 4 tries because I can't figure out which way to turn it. And honestly, unless it's a door that you do all the time, sometimes they change it and it's confusing.
Yeah, and, like, the house that I'm living in right now is like a flip. Someone bought it and flipped it or whatever, and they installed some of the doorknobs backwards because there is one that's supposed to face out and one that's supposed to face in. There is like specific ones, and you're supposed to do it that way, and they didn't do it the right way, and so you have to like turn the lock all the way around.
So the one that I saw the most of was people saying they don't know how to hold a conversation or make new friends. And I thought that was really poignant for these days and interesting because I wrote a blog post recently about making friends as an adult because it's so much harder when you're not with the same people every day
Yeah.
in kind of forced social situations.
Yeah.
And like you don't have like a one big room that everybody's in and like you don't have clubs that you're just like you have to do a club, go find something to do.
Yeah.
And then you're with those people all the time.
All the time.
So it was interesting that these teenagers who are in those environments are still having trouble holding a conversation and making friends and keeping friends
Yeah.
because they should be in the perfect environment to do that. And I wonder if it's got something to do with like social media or being on your phones all the time that you forget how to talk out loud because
Yes.
texting is so different.
Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. So almost all of the teen clients that I've ever worked with, when I ask them what is like hard or what is something that you want to get better at and we can work on in therapy, is making friends and like talking to their peers. Those are the two things that always come up. And I think, and I agree, I think it's so many, pretty much every teenager has a phone now. And not just a phone, but like basically a small computer in your pocket.
Yeah,
You
the
have
whole
access
world is on
to
your
the
phone.
entire world
Yeah.
in your pocket. and there's no, like, teenagers are not taught how to regulate themselves and their usage of that, of like being on the internet and social media.
Yeah.
Chronically all online is what I call it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know quite a few teenagers who say they have really close friends, but they're people they've never met in person. They're online friends.
Yeah, they play online games like Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine, but it is a very different, you're not getting that in-person contact that you need to learn social skills.
Yeah. So how do you usually help teenagers who say they want to make more friends or improve their social skills? What do you do?
It depends a little bit on what else is going on with the teenager. But for the most part, I mean, my answer is get them to use their phone less. How I go about that is not telling them that. Because if I tell a teenager, this problem of you having a hard time talking to people and making friends would be resolved pretty quickly or would be helped if you just didn't have a phone, they're going to be like, that's stupid. I'm not doing that. And I don't want to come to therapy anymore. So what I try to do is have conversations about phone usage in a way where I'm not specifically trying to like lead them, but just kind of getting them to realize how much they're on their phone and then taking little steps towards using it less and less when they're at school. Like one of my first suggestions, like after I get the teenager to realize that they're on their phone way too much. So we get through to that point and I'm like, okay, next time you're at school or camp or wherever you are at this time of the year, I want you to put your phone on do not disturb all day. You can have it on your person all day. You can use it as much as you want, but I want you to have it on do not disturb so you don't get any notifications and see what happens.
Yeah.
See if anything changes. And it's kind of like a baby step towards what I would like to see teenagers doing and adults is not having to have your phone with you all the time.
Yeah.
Especially at school. There are schools that I know have a no phone policy where it has to stay in your locker and has to be turned off during school hours. I know that can be kind of tricky. Sometimes parents need to be in contact with their kid for whatever reason. My suggestion with that is that you can still call the school.
Yeah.
If you need to get a hold of your kid,
you a message.
The school is well prepared for that. They have been doing that since telephones were invented. Like, there is a way to get a hold of your kid. But I think parents have a hard time of letting go that control.
Yeah. But then I would also remind parents, like, if your child is at school, what you want them to focus on is learning.
School and their peers.
Yeah. Whatever you need to tell them, you can text it to them and they'll see it on the bus. Or you can tell them when they get home. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And just also, if you're constantly texting or staying in contact with your kid throughout their school day, like, are you at work? What's happening? Where are you? What are you doing? Maybe you as a parent need to also have some no phone time.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of my thing too, is a lot of times the kids that I talk to, they get so anxious. Like, if they get grounded from their phone, they're so anxious because they feel like if they can't be there to talk to their friends whenever their friends want to be talked to, then they're not going to be friends anymore. Or, like, their friends are going to think, like, they don't like them and they can't.
It's like withdrawal almost.
It is, but it's like a real anxious thing. Like, my friend is not going to want to be my friend because my parents grounded me from my phone.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with your ability to be a good friend.
Yeah.
So I don't, like, in addition to having less screen time and prioritizing texting relationships over in-person relationships, I feel like kids don't get communication skills and like friendship values and understand what a
Yeah.
healthy relationship is, because they are attached to these devices that make it seem like if you don't text me back within 5 minutes, then you must be mad at me. And
Right.
now I'm mad at you, and I'm gonna cut you off and tell everybody that
Yeah.
you're a terrible friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they have no concept or understanding, or have never been taught how to just communicate with their peers, because it's all through phones. And like also too, parents are on their phones all the time too.
Yeah.
So if parents are on their phone all the time, I don't know, looking at TikTok or like talking with people on the phone, whatever, you're on your phone a lot because it's convenient, it's right there. Your kid sees that and is like, in their subconscious brain, that's how this works. That's normal. We're going to do that. And then you don't teach them how to communicate like in person. So of course they're going to have huge struggles at school.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a couple of kids that are having problems. It's like every single kid, every single teenager I talk to. That's their main issue. And it's really hard as a teenager, and they're starting to develop their sense of identity and become more independent. And they're realizing how scary it is because they don't know how to talk to people. But a lot of life depends on talking to people.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of communication skills, and it's a lack of understanding what a relationship is. And then it doesn't have to be people pleasing, and it doesn't have to be like codependent.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers and preteens that I talk to, and I ask, like, what are the values or what are the things that you want out of a friendship? They kind of don't have an answer.
Yeah.
It's either stuff that's pretty superficial, or they just don't know. And I'm just like, wow, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want out of a friend, out of a friendship, then how are you able to maintain a friendship?
Yeah.
And it's just because they're on their phone or on the internet playing Fortnite all the time with two people.
Right. Yeah. So there were quite a number of teenagers on this Reddit post that were saying that they don't know how to make friends, don't know how to keep friends, don't know how to hold a conversation.
Wow.
Which I felt was sad, but also understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you think about it, this generation of teenagers is not really surprising.
Yeah.
Because also they probably spent a good chunk of middle school during COVID doing virtual learning. So then the only way they could communicate with friends was virtually.
True.
And so they didn't get the practice that happens in middle school of talking to new people.
Yeah. In addition to society just pushing us more towards those technological relationships.
Yeah.
And like you said, parents being on the phones all the time, because like that's where you get your first practice of talking to people, is with the people in your home. So
Yeah.
if you're not modeling how to have healthy conversations and healthy relationships, they're not going to know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think parents and adults just really forget how much they impact kiddos' first learning of everything, but especially with like socializing and being a person. And if you just don't talk to your kid about stuff, like if you, I don't know, people that can't have a conversation with their kiddo, I feel really bad, because then, I mean, it sucks. You can't hold a conversation with your kiddo, and then your kid's going to grow up not being able to hold conversations with anybody. That's just like how that works.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important for families to have intentional no phone time. At least no phone, if not no phone and no TV. Like, to encourage, like, we're gonna interact with each other.
Yes. Yeah. There's a thing that I really try to suggest to every set of parents or caregivers that I interact with at work, of family meetings.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean that you spend a whole hour once a week playing Monopoly
Or lecturing.
or lecturing your kid about the week. And you don't even have to spend family meeting time talking about the week if that's not the vibe. But family meeting, you set aside an amount of time. No one's got there. Everyone is there. If someone can't be there, you reschedule. Everyone needs to be there. No phones. Everyone puts their phone in a basket or whatever, puts them on silent. You put them away. You turn off the TV. No electronics. You all sit at a comfortable place where everyone fits. Like kitchen table is usually a go-to, but you can also sit in the living room or whatever. And you spend that time talking. And it doesn't have to be, here is the schedule for the next week. And it doesn't have to be all about, how was school? What are you learning at school? You just use that time to actually have conversations about whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And it's a perfect time to have conversations about, like, here are some things that I've noticed that are causing the family stress. What are we going to do about it?
Yes, having like a family meeting where you're doing a little conflict resolution, because what you're doing is you're modeling and practicing how to have a conversation about emotions, about how you're feeling. You're modeling and practicing how to have conflict resolution, how to communicate how you're feeling. You can use that time, like if kids are, like you've got siblings and kids are fighting with each other over something, you use that time to model, teach, practice setting boundaries with each other and modeling how to respect boundaries, stuff like that. Like that is the prime time to do that. And what's happened now with having phones and internet and technology so accessible all of the time is that we don't do that. That is not part of regular routine anymore in most families, where like in the past it was more normal.
Yeah.
Like it was be like a family dinner or something, or like family movie nights. That kind of stuff would happen then. But it doesn't happen at all anymore.
Yeah.
And so you have to intentionally and thoughtfully set aside that time and make it happen.
Yep. And I'll say too, hopefully this discussion that we're having will help parents understand like why their kids are so attached to their phones, and understand that like, yes, it might be an effective punishment to take them away from their phones if they've done something, if they've broken a rule. However, you can use it more as an effective consequence to help them solve problems. If it's truly like your kid cannot get their homework done because they cannot stop scrolling on TikTok, then you can have a conversation about like, you need to put your phone here so that you can complete what you need to complete, because this is a distraction for you.
Right.
But if your kid is like truly distressed because you've grounded them from their phone because they came home late, and they're distressed that they're going to lose their relationships, like that's a little bit extra that you might want to have a conversation with them about. Why is this so important to your relationships that you have to be 100% available to your friends at all times? That's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, and just the idea of making sure that the consequence aligns with whatever rule was broken.
Right.
Because if your go-to consequence is always to take their phone and electronics away every single time, then there's no, like, natural consequences are the best way for kids to learn to redirect themselves and to correct when they break a rule. And a natural consequence is a consequence that aligns with the broken rule. So if you're scrolling on TikTok not doing your homework, the consequence is from now on when you do homework, your phone goes somewhere else. And that's not even a consequence. That's just like here's the rule.
It's a problem solving. Yeah. Yeah.
It's not, It's
If
not
taking their
discipline
phone-
at that point. It's just like,
Yeah.
this is a natural consequence. You can't do your homework because you're too busy with your phone. Your phone's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. I find that in some households, taking technology is almost on the same level as spanking, because it just causes
Yeah.
the kids so much distress that they're like, that's how they're going to learn not to do it again, because they don't want to be so uncomfortable without their technology. And it's like, okay, are you teaching them not to do that behavior again because it will make their life easier, or they need to not do it because of a safety reason? Or are you teaching them not to do it because they're scared?
Right. If the consequence that you are having, that you're implementing, is causing them so much distress and like emotional dysregulation, and that's why you're doing it, that's not a consequence. That is spanking. That is pretty much abusive.
Yeah. If your only consequences for misbehavior are, I'm going to make my kid miserable, then you're not teaching them correctly why their actions are wrong.
Yes.
You're teaching them, if I don't like what you're doing, I'm going to make you miserable.
Yeah. If I break a rule, I'm going to get caught in trouble, and I'm going to be upset every time.
Yeah. And that might
has
be effective in your eyes on the surface, but it's not. It's rupturing your relationship with them.
Yes.
And it's not teaching them why they need to not do that behavior other than to keep you happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's the only reason why you don't want your kid to do something is to keep you happy, then maybe that's not a fair rule.
Yeah, that sounds like parent needs to work on an issue of their own a little bit before they think about doing consequences again.
Yeah. If taking away technology is the only punishment or consequence you can think of for your kid, then that's something that you can talk out with people and maybe get a family therapist or some sort of parenting coach or something to help you find more effective consequences. Leave it in the
Right.
comments. We'll help you out.
Yes. Yes. There are other consequences that you can use. And figuring out those consequences, though, is kind of like a case-by-case thing because kids are so different.
Yeah, and it depends on what the behavior is that you're trying to get rid of. Yeah.
And what is a consequence that is capable within the family, too.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that are just not doable.
Yeah.
With a family that's like super busy, or if you have like a teenager and then a bunch of little ones, it's gonna be different in that kind of case. So.
Yep. Cool.
Yep.
Well, good luck to all the teenagers trying to make friends.
Yep. It's hard.
I'm here for you.
But also, like, yeah, so you wrote a blog post about how it's hard to make friends as an adult.
Yeah, so in a way, it's sort of like different challenges for teenagers and adults. We all are equally struggling, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
But yes, I did write a blog post about why it's hard to make friends as an adult and different ways that you can meet new people and maintain meaningful friendships.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's on my website. Check it out.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to have to read that because I was just complaining the other day. I was like, some days I feel like I have no friends, and then other days I'm like, y'all are doing too much. Stop inviting me to so much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. It's important to have friendships outside of like a partner. Because that's just, not for some people, but for the most part, most people, it's just one person. And you can't get everything that you need from just one person.
Yeah. It's not fair to expect that from one person, too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a lot. What
It's a
happens
lot.
if they go away?
Right. Or they just, like, can't give you what you need because they're
Or if
not
they
your
need
friend.
something.
Or they need something
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's completely different.
Yeah.
I'm not a couples therapist, but I understand a little bit.
I'm really big into communication and conflict resolution. So
Yeah.
It bleeds into that.
That
But
is a big part of
if you
couples
ask me
therapy.
about cheating or something, I cannot help you. Should we do recommendation corner?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. My recommendation is one video that I saw and thought it was cute, and so now everybody needs to watch it.
Cool. We will link the video in the bio / description, however you are consuming today's podcast episode. Consuming.
Yes.
However you're listening or watching.
Yes.
Consuming.
Yeah. I'm going to try to put it, like, embed it into the video, and hopefully then the audio listeners will at least get the audio for it. But it'll be linked in all the descriptions, and I just thought it was really cute because as a practitioner who teaches people about gentle parenting, this video is about gentle parenting yourself. And it's very therapeutic because it's like, you know, healing your inner child or whatever. So basically this person has a video and they like drop something and then they talk to themselves.
Uh-oh, that was a loud noise. We spilled our water. That was really scary, huh? That's okay. We get to clean it up now. We can clean it up. That caused some big feelings, huh? Because we're already late for a meeting. I know. That probably caused some really big, scary feelings.
The cat.
Sometimes accidents happen. We can always clean up. Oh, did your socks get wet? Oh no, that's an uncomfortable feeling. That's a really uncomfortable feeling. Okay, that's okay. We can just change into some fresh socks. Some clean socks. And then we'll have to do the laundry later. That's okay. Things happen sometimes to people.
I love that at the end. It's okay. Things happen sometimes to people.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be our slogan.
Yeah, but the caption was like, POV, you're trying to gentle parent yourself because you have a tendency to freak out for no reason. And I feel like that's valid because
Yeah.
just like a toddler would have a tantrum if they spilled something and their socks got wet. Sometimes you have to reassure yourself like, oh yeah, that's uncomfortable, huh?
Oh, I love it so much. I do that to myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I should do it. I should do it to
more.
this level more often. Like,
Yes.
speak out loud to myself. Like,
Yeah.
we all make mistakes sometimes, and we get to clean it up now.
Yeah, I definitely don't do it out loud. It's
Yeah.
in my head, because if I did it out loud all the time, people would be like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, my cats would look at me like that cat does and be like,
That's
what
so
are you
funny.
doing?
Although I do try to gentle parent my cats, which, they're cats, so it doesn't happen.
They don't care.
They don't care. But I talk to them like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's good.
Yeah.
I love that video. So my recommendation for this week is an account of an art psychotherapist named Connor. And her account is Birchwood Art Therapy. She's based in Canada. I just noticed it says accepting new clients. I wish I was in Canada. But she has a really, really great social media content for art therapy. And it's really funny because it's not that it's all art therapy related. Sometimes she brings in a little bit of what she's doing in her own life as self-care, or she'll have a kind of a tough day and she's like, I had a tough day, I'm gonna make some art about it, and makes it a video. And I think her account is really cool because I have a hard time describing art therapy to people because it's truly something that you need to just try before you decide if it's for you or not.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to describe how art therapy works to people. A lot of times the first impression I get when people learn I'm an art therapist, and this is not professionally, if I'm out in the world at a brewery or a bar or whatever, and someone's like, this is Jess, my friend, she's an art therapist. The first thing that people want me to do is psychoanalyze their art for them. And I'm like, not a psychic. If I were a psychic, My job would be so much easier. Though I want to, like, that meme where the guy is like, people are doing whatever and they're like, okay, here's the tip amount.
Yeah.
I want to do that to people when I'm like out in the wild, in the real world, and people are asking me stuff about art therapy. I'm like, should I bill you right now?
Yes.
I'm not doing art therapy, but you're talking to me a whole lot and asking me all a bunch of questions, and I'm just here to chill and have a beer. But anyways, my recommendation.
Yes.
Birchwood Art Therapy. She is fantastic art therapist. Really, really great content. Does a great job explaining art therapy, and she will like do a little video demonstration of an art therapy technique that you can use on your own, like some like self-regulation kind of stuff, which is really cool. But yeah, if you're interested in wanting to know more about what art therapy looks like, I would suggest following her account. She posts pretty frequently. She is based in Canada, so some of the stuff she talks about is a little different than art therapy here, just because their licensure and stuff is a little different.
Okay.
She's basically in Canada, art therapists are able to do more than I can.
Interesting.
Yeah, fascinating. But yeah, really, really great content.
Yeah. And I like the concept of like, here are some interventions that you could do yourself without needing much intervention from another therapist,
right?
So that you can see, like, is this something that I think that I would enjoy and would get something out of?
Yes, because in the world of like art therapy, there's kind of art therapy interventions you do with an art therapist, and then there's therapeutic art.
Okay.
And those are two different things, but they're both part of art therapy as like a larger, if it's an umbrella, those are in there. And therapeutic art is stuff that you can do on your own at home. You don't need an art therapist to go through it with you. If you do therapeutic art at home and you're like, wow, I want to talk to someone about this, then you bring it to your therapist or art therapist and you can talk about it in session.
Cool.
But yeah, she has some cool, like, here's what to do when you're feeling angry, and like a little scribbling activity for that. And yeah, it's just really good content.
Yeah.
About art therapy.
I like it.
Good stuff.
That'll be linked in our descriptions. That'll be shared on our Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to follow us. Make sure to subscribe to all of our things. And if you are watching us on YouTube, what should they comment today? Ooh,
wasn't there something at the beginning that we were like, ooh, drop a comment? Oh no.
Oh, about our intro.
Oh yeah, drop a comment of ideas for a new intro tagline, or ways that we can maybe make our intro a little less awkward. Because we're reading from a script.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It gets the job done. But yeah, if you guys have ideas for making our intro a little more fun, or a format maybe that feels less awkward, let us know.
I can't promise that it won't still be awkward.
Yeah.
Just because we'd be the ones reading it, but...
And we are just awkward. It's fine.
But any ideas are welcome and encouraged.
Yes.
Okay. I hope you have a great week. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.